For the first time in Asia, connect your land phone and smartphone through SLT Wi-Fi with the SLT Voice app.
Tonight, floodgates open. All Muslim ministers set to resign. But why?
To give that space for the law enforcement agencies, particularly the criminal investigation department, to carry out a thorough investigation.
What of the government?
But their survival will depend on their conduct.
Balls in your court. The Election Commission informs court that the delimitation report is not a necessity. Special talks. The Prime Minister and the opposition leader discuss the economic crisis. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Monday, the 3rd of June, 2019.
AdaDerana ඇතුළත ඉදීම සමනය කරන අතර විනාඩි 5කින් ක්‍රියා කිරීම ආරම්භයි. AdaDerana දිවියට නව දිනයක්. AdaDerana වෙතින් එසේ කැක්කමට විශේෂඥ AdaDerana Headfast ඉක්මනට සහනය අදම අත්විඳින්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Thamagit Naik. Let's start with the local stories. Now, it was an enthralling day of politics with a slew of resignation announcements. All Muslim ministers have decided to step down from their positions but will continue to support the government as backbenchers in Parliament. This decision comes at a time where opposition for Minister Rishad Badiuddin has been sprouting from all directions over his alleged links to Easter Sunday attacks. Announcing their decision to media, leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Minister Rauf Hakim, said the group decided to step down to let investigations take their course. He, however, gave a word of caution to the government, saying its future will depend on its conduct.
A decisive meeting was held at the residence of parliamentarian A.H.M. Fauzi this morning, which saw the participation of all Muslim ministers. Following the meeting, their decision to resign from their portfolios was announced to the Cabinet of Ministers. Speaking to media earlier this evening, leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Minister Rauf Hakim, said that they will continue to function as backbenchers in Parliament until investigations against Muslim government representatives are concluded.
As members of the Muslim community represented in the government, holding variety of positions as cabinet ministers, state ministers and deputy ministers, have taken a decision today to resign from all the positions and request the government to expedite any inquiry against anyone among us and bring it to a conclusion without delay. We expect that to happen within a month so that we will be vindicated from this allegation. If any of us are found guilty, we are prepared to face whatever punishment for that. But the innocent people should not be punished. As a matter of fact, what is happening today is that innocent Muslims are at the receiving end. They have become victims today. It is true, some of the perpetrators of the April 21st incident were from among us, from our community. But we cooperated from the very first day to assist the law enforcement agencies and all our tri-forces to establish sanity in this country, to find the truth. We have cooperated fully. We expect the government to complete the inquiries thoroughly and fully, and we are prepared to cooperate and endure whatever difficulties we have endured so far to see that this matter will be thoroughly investigated and concluded. In the meantime, from among us, if there is anybody who is found to be guilty of assisting the terrorists in any manner whatsoever, that should also be properly investigated. That is why we thought all of us collectively will do this to give that space for the law enforcement agencies, particularly the criminal investigation department, to carry out a thorough investigation. We expect complaints to be made and that they will be investigated expeditiously so that we will be vindicated finally. The hate speech and the hate culture and the culture of impunity that exists for some of them must also be brought to an end. That is our earnest wish. And with such a culture being brought back, and if we are satisfied, we can take decisions thereafter. Until then, we are proud and happy to be serving as backbenchers and assisting this government to survive. But their survival will depend on their conduct in continuing to investigate this thoroughly and properly and do justice to everyone equally.
Ministers Rauf Hakim, Rishad Badiuddin, Kabir Hashim, Abdul Halim and State Ministers Amir Ali Shihabdin, Ali Zahir Maulana, Faisal Qasim and HMM Haris resigned from their positions. Meanwhile, Deputy State Minister Abdullah Maharoof too tendered in his resignation from his portfolio.
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, provincial governors MLAM Hizbullah and Azad Salih stepped down after weeks of speculation and calls for resignation from politicians and members of the public. The duo handed in their resignations to President Maithripala Sirisena, which the head of state accepted. The calls for their resignation had been gathering momentum, with parliamentarian Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera also launching a hunger strike, with the Thera's cause gaining support from politicians.
There were public calls for the resignation of Minister Rishad Badiuddin and governors MLAM Hizbullah and Azad Salih after allegations surfaced implicating them in the Easter Sunday attacks, which claimed the lives of over 250 people. During a meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena and parliamentarians of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party this morning, governors Azad Salih and MLAM Hizbullah handed over their letters of resignation to the head of state. Taking to Twitter, the President's media unit confirmed that the letters were accepted by President. Following the resignation, former governor of the Eastern Province MLAM Hizbullah expressed views to media.
I
requested the President to call for an inquiry against myself immediately and to release the relevant report. I assure you that I have no affiliation with acts of terror or terrorists.
No,
he did not. The President cannot take a decision on him, and it is up to him to resign. In fact, the Prime Minister can request the President to remove him. I'm ready to face any punishment if it happens legally. To be honest, there is no necessity for us to resign, as we haven't done anything wrong. But when such situations arise and if problems are created by us being in positions, it's not good. CID inquiries will reveal that Ratanathera and Gnanasarathera were lying.
Several politicians also expressed views to media reacting to the resignations of Hizbullah and Salih.
The SLFP is glad about the decision taken by the President without letting the matter get out of hand. No, it wasn't late. The President cannot rush in taking decisions. So these decisions should be taken methodically. He will also appoint a committee within another 2 days to investigate the allegations against a certain doctor. In the meantime, Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera ended his protest fast upon learning that the governors Azad Salih and MLAM Hizbullah had resigned from their respective positions. Venerable Ratanathera launched a protest fast adjacent to the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy last Friday based on 4 demands, which included the removal of Minister Rishad Badiuddin, Eastern Province Governor MLAM Hizbullah and Western Province Governor Azad Salih from their posts.
Chief prelates of the Asgiriya and Malvatta chapters called on Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera this morning to look into his well-being. Venerable Ratanathera's protest fast entered its 4th day today opposite the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy, demanding the resignation of governors MLAM Hizbullah and Azad Salih as well as Minister Rishad Badiuddin and the establishment of an independent body to probe allegations against Dr. Muhammad Shafi. Shortly after their visit, a letter was issued by the chief prelates requesting the President and the Prime Minister to heed to the demands of Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera, stating that probes pertaining to extremism be conducted in a transparent manner. The letter also called for punishment to be meted out against all those who are responsible. Meanwhile, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit too called on Venerable Ratanathera to look into his condition. A large number of people, including members of the Buddhist clergy, Catholic priests, public representatives and artists were present at the site of the protest fast today. Late in the afternoon, however, Central Province Governor Maithri Gunaratne arrived at the location of the fast and informed Venerable Ratanathera of the resignation of Governors Azad Sali and MLAM Hizbullah. Responding to the news, the Thera stated that he will not let go of his campaign until a letter is addressed to him in this regard. Heeding the Venerable Thera's request, Governor Gunaratne provided a written confirmation of the resignation. It was only then that Venerable Athuriya Ratanathera let go of his fast.
I believe that this is a true statement. No one can lie in front of the public. Therefore, I accept this letter. The President does not have the power to remove Minister Rishad Badiuddin from his position. I believe PM Ranil Wickremesinghe will make a decision on it. If he does not, we will take necessary steps to bring this up in Parliament. I also believe we will be able to establish an independent commission with regards to the issues surrounding mothers who are illegally sterilised. I hope I set an example that through spiritual conviction we're able to change society.
Venerable Ratanathera was then rushed to the Kandy Teaching Hospital by ambulance to provide immediate treatment. Venerable Athuriya Ratanathera's campaign garnered support from across the island as protests were held in solidarity with the Thera.
Now, former governor of the Eastern Province, MLAM Hizbullah, moved to give an explanation over CCTV footage which emerged from a hotel in Pasikuta. The former governor is seen with Saudi Arabian nationals on the day after the Easter Sunday attacks. Meanwhile, a luxury vehicle used by former governor of the Western Province, Azad Sali, violating customs regulations, was discovered by police today.
Police discovered a luxury vehicle parked in the garage of former Governor Azad Sali, which had been imported to Sri Lanka under a permit, the conditions of which say that the vehicle should be re-exported to the country of origin following the conclusion of the approved 2-year permit period. If the vehicle is not exported after the 2-year period, it can be used. However, taxes have to be paid to the government. Former Governor Azad Sali was found using the vehicle violating the custom regulations. The owner of the vehicle found by the police in Kandy confirmed that he exported the vehicle when he left England to come to Sri Lanka. Police discovered documents of the former governor inside the vehicle, despite him denying using the vehicle. Meanwhile, CCTV footage emerged from a hotel in Pasikuda, where the former governor of the Eastern Province MLAM Hizbullah was seen meeting several persons identified as Saudi Arabian nationals. The footage shows ex-governor Hizbullah arriving at the particular hotel on the 22nd of April 2019, a day after the Easter Sunday bombings, when a police curfew was in effect. The former governor went on to explain the video footage when questioned by media today.
Three investors from Saudi Arabia arrived in Sri Lanka. I had a meeting with them on Sunday. They arrived officially and their companies too are registered. They officially met me in a hotel. I was provided security by the army and the police. They left 2 days later. The TID and the Army Intelligence and the CID have conducted investigations into this, and they have checked the CCTV footage and have accepted that there is nothing wrong. In fact, everything was lawfully conducted. The committee appointed by the Ministry of Health to probe allegations levelled against Dr. Segu Siabdin Mohammed Shafi handed over its interim report today to the Secretary of Health. Tabling the 4-point report, the committee requests for its expansion for further investigations.
The Ministry of Health appointed a 6-member committee to probe allegations against Dr. Segu Siabdin Mohammed Shafi, who served as a doctor at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital. The committee handed in an interim report to the Secretary of the Ministry of Health today, highlighting 4 matters. The report requests the expansion of the committee's composition as the series of events pertaining to the preliminary investigation has developed over a long period of time, as well as the number of complaints have rapidly increased. It also calls a probe on all complaints of women who underwent caesarean surgeries at the Kurunagala Hospital during the tenure of the doctor in question and are experiencing secondary subfertility. The committee also wants the director of the Kurunagala Hospital and the entire staff to cooperate in the investigations. Furthermore, it also calls on the director of the Kurunagala Hospital to provide information regarding mothers and staff members who were party to the relevant surgeries. Meanwhile, 66 more women lodged complaints with the Kurunagala Hospital against Dr. Mohammed Shafi, claiming that they are unable to conceive, whilst highlighting complications experienced following caesarean surgeries. Accordingly, the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital alone has received 544 complaints so far, while 86 complaints are lodged with the Dambulla Hospital, with 21 fresh complaints being filed today.
Now, while Indian security agencies have not found evidence of bomber Zaran Hashim or his aides having visited India before the Easter Sunday attacks, now there are suspicions that Zaran may have travelled to the Maldives in the recent past.
Quoting a senior Indian intelligence official, Times of India says a thorough scan of India immigration records failed to throw up any evidence of travel by Hashim or other Sri Lankan bombers to India in the past months and years, and that it is also equally unlikely that they gained illegal entry into India via sea route, as they would have required a proper network of local aids to arrange their safe landing. It went on to say that inquiries by Indian investigators showed that state police and other agencies had not confirmed the existence of a network of National Tawheed Jamaat in South India, or at least one that would be associated with the Lankan terror group. An intelligence official has said while NTJ may share an ideological affinity with radical Indian outfits, including Tamil Nadu Tawheed Jamaat, there's no lead pointing to any active links between them that would have contributed to the IS-inspired attack in Sri Lanka. Indian sources have indicated that it was possible that Hashim may have spent a few months in 2017 to 2018 when he is said to have gone underground in the Maldives. An Indian security officer has also said that there is no question that the Sri Lankan attackers travelling all the way to Kashmir, as suggested earlier by Sri Lanka's Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake.
Minister of Finance Mangala Samaraweera is once more at the centre of a controversy. Taking to Twitter, Minister Samaraweera criticised Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, for visiting Venerable Athuraliya Ratana Thera during the Thera's protest fast. Minister Samaraweera wrote, quote, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith fanning the flames of hatred and communalism by visiting fasting robed MP Ratana. Vatican, take note, unquote. The minister previously drew flack for saying that Sri Lanka isn't a Buddhist country. An Office of Ombudsman has been set up at the office of the opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa to handle complaints put forth by members of the public. It was divulged by the opposition leader himself during a media briefing organised following a special discussion with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today.
The Temple Trees hosted a special discussion between Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa this morning. The two parties had discussed the prevalent economic crisis in the presence of Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy and Deputy Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe of the Central Bank. Following the talks, the opposition leader held a media briefing at his office.
We opened an office of Ombudsman at the opposition leader's office today. An MP will be available at all times to receive complaints. We heard many such grievances in the aftermath of the attacks and the blow to the economy, especially the tourism industry and small industries. The government showed us the presentations they already made in this regard. We intend to discuss this situation with the President.
Several factions also handed in their complaints to the opposition leader.
The Election Commission has informed the Court of Appeal that the Provincial Council election can be held even without the report on the delimitation of electorates if the court issues an order. The petitions filed by former Chief Minister of Sabaragamu Province Mahipala Herath and former Chief Minister of North Central Province S.M. Ranjith seeking a court order to call for the Election Commission to hold the delayed Provincial Council elections was taken up today. In consideration of the submissions, the Appeals Court ordered to take up the petitions again on the 2nd of August. The petitioners stress that delaying the Provincial Council elections is a violation of people's right to vote. We've got more news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Kishu Gomez, says that plans are afoot to launch a 6-month global public relation campaign for the tourism industry, still reeling from the Easter Sunday attacks. Speaking to Indivari Amwat at Hyde Park recently, Gomez revealed that the Cabinet has already granted approval for a campaign in the excess of 900 million rupees, which will be undertaken by a global PR company.
When you say PR campaign and then you'll have to actually have additions now, does this mean this will also have to go in for approval?
No, actually together with the PR campaign, the advertising proposal was also approved.
Let's talk about the global agency that you're recruiting. How competent are they?
I can now mention the name as well, given that it has been approved by the Cabinet. Is JWT. They are the ones who did the Sri Lanka identity work as well. So they understand the tourism brand in Sri Lanka. They understand the global tourism industry. They've done enough research. Therefore, they'll be able to make a kickstart. But obviously, we're not making the start in a normal environment. It's a very different environment within which we have to now play the game. And it is for 6 months only in the very. So what I intend doing is let JWT start on this job, and 2 months into it, we will go through a global tender once again to select an agency for the next 2 to 3 years time. So that gives us 4 months for us to be able to finalize another global agency to take us forward into the next 3 years.
So they will continue to promote Sri Lanka after the 6-month period that JWT
unless otherwise they get re-elected as the long-term partner, will end their term in 6 months.
How much are we talking about in terms of this particular PR campaign?
For the PR campaign, we are going to spend 415 million rupees, and for the global advertising campaign, 500 million. So both put together, 915 million rupees is what we will invest.
And the return that you envisage?
Some of the returns, will be qualitative, some will be quantitative. In terms of quantitative ones, obviously, we want to get back to the level we were at. In 2018, we had 2.3 million tourists coming in. So doing 2.3 during this year, repeating the same number this year will not be possible, I must say that. But at least, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, if we can start recording the average that we've been recording during last year corresponding period, then that will be a good achievement, for the next 6 months' time. And then come next year, obviously, we will have to, look at further growing the numbers in order to reach the ideal numbers we were chasing prior to the attack.
Now to bring you a market update, the SPI closed in red as a result of price losses in counters such as John Keel's Holdings, SoftLogic Life Insurance and Sri Lanka Telecom, with a turnover crossing 188 million rupees. The all-share price index closed 11.45 points lower at 5,299.50, while the more liquid S&P SL20 index closed 9.86 points down at 2,459.96. Furthermore, foreigners remain active, closing as net buyers. We now have Mangala from First Capital Holdings with a brief report on today's market performance.
Amidst rising tension from pressure groups to the government, both debt and equity market saw negative sentiment. In the secondary market, ahead of tomorrow's primary bill auction, yield curve shifted upwards on the back of selling pressure stemmed from both local and foreign counterparties. On the equity market, negative sentiment continued with the market ending in red for the second straight session, mainly dragged down by John Keel's and SoftLogic Life, with 53% of the day's turnover being dominated by John Keel's.
International news coming up on the other side of this short break. Stay tuned. North Korea's state news agency KCNA today released still photographs of its senior official and former top nuclear envoy Kim Yong-chol with leader Kim Jong-un at an art performance, signaling that the former spy master is alive and remains a force in North Korea's power structure. KCNA said that Kim Jong-un and his wife yesterday attended an amateur art performance by the wives of officers in the North Korean army, and Kim Yong-chol was among leading officials who accompanied them. International media reported last week that North Korea's nuclear envoy had been executed as part of a purge of officials involved in the failed summit between the US and North Korea. And that's it from all of us here at First to Nine. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.